all of you to kindly take your seats, please. Good morning and welcome to the 4th edition of Sustainable Apparel Forum 2023. Honorable participants, before I move on to the formal proceedings, I would like to make some announcements. Green Growth exhibition is being organized concurrently outside the Grand Ballroom. 12 frontline companies in sustainability field are participating at the event. The names are YKK, Recover Fiber, Reverse Resources, Vision Spring, Smartex AI, AgroShift Technologies Limited, Eurofins, Department of Inspection for Factories and Establishment, Merchant Bay, Green Bud, Shahjalal Poly Industries Limited, Mutual Trust Bank Limited. You're all invited to visit the exhibition at any time of your convenience. Valued participants, free Wi-Fi facilities has been organized for you at the venue. You can use the Wi-Fi using username SAF2023 and password is the same as well, SAF2023. Please scan the QR code on the tent card on your table to download e-brochure of this conference or the program agenda. During some of the plenary sessions, we will be conducting audience poll on issues relating to the sustainability industry. We request you to participate at the polls. Please scan the QR code on the back side of the identity card given to you at the registration desk and participate at the polls questions of the session. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 4th edition of Sustainable Apparel Forum 2023. With better knowledge, understanding and collaboration, sustainability-focused initiatives will create new opportunities, resolve the image crisis of the fashion industry, and potentially save the world from further environmental hazard. As the second largest apparel exporter, Bangladesh must play a significant role in the ongoing sustainability movement. From such a background, Bangladesh Apparel Exchange has organized the 4th edition of Sustainable Apparel Forum to highlight the pressing issues. The 4th edition of Sustainable Apparel Forum is organized by Bangladesh Apparel Exchange in collaboration with Lawless Foundation. This event itself is a testimony of our concerted effort to find solutions to get more sustainable both socially, economically, and of course, environmentally. Congratulations to all of you present here today, as you have now become a part of our initiative to promote the sustainability agenda within the apparel industry. Thanks to Lawless Foundation, and thanks to our valued title sponsor, KDS Group, Platinum sponsors, PDS Limited, Gold sponsors, Epic Group and Noise Jeans, Silver sponsors, Work Bangladesh International Labour Organization, Bronze sponsors, WaterAid, Good Fashion Fund, Oxfam in Bangladesh, and Eastern Bank Limited for partnering with us. Your valued support has made this initiative possible. We're also offering our heartfelt gratitude to our contributors, Ministry of Commerce, Government of the People's Republic of Bangladesh, Ministry of Power, Energy and Mineral Resources, Government of the People's Republic of Bangladesh, Dhaka North City Corporation, US Embassy in Bangladesh, Delegation of the European Union in Bangladesh, Embassy of Denmark in Bangladesh, Embassy of Sweden in Bangladesh, USAID, United Nations Industrial Development Organization, Bangladesh Garments Manufacturers and Exporters Association, Bangladesh Knitwear Manufacturers and Exporters Association, Bangladesh Textile Mills Association, Sustainable Apparel Coalition, International Center for Climate Change and Development, Infrastructure Development Company Limited, Deutsche Gesellschaft für Internationale Zusammenarbeit, GmbH, Apparel Impact Institute, Social and Labor Convergence, Global Labor Institute, Cornell University, USA, Fashion for Good, NVU, Circle Economy, Spinova, Bestseller, Standard Chartered Bangladesh, and Sourcing Journal. Thank you once again for being a part of this initiative. In this 4th edition of Sustainable Apparel Forum, Today at this venue, we will have opening and closing plenary with 4 panel discussions, 1 concurrent roundtable discussion, and 9 exciting presentations with the participation of expert speakers. Our main focus this year is on circularity, zero waste, and sustainability within the apparel industry. Even the branding material used for this event are sustainable. The material used, you can see that has been used on stage as well as other branding material are fabric rolls. Ladies and gentlemen, for the opening plenary event, we have the kind presence of our chief guest, Honorable Minister, Mr. Tipu Munshi MP, Ministry of Commerce, Government of the People's Republic of Bangladesh. Thank you very much, sir, for being here with us and gracing this occasion with your presence. Can we please have a round of applause for our chief guest? Thank you very much. We also have with us our guest of honor, His Excellency, Mr. Peter D. Haas, Ambassador of U.S. Embassy in Bangladesh. We have with us His Excellency, Mr. Charles Whiteley, Ambassador and Head of Delegation of the European Union in Bangladesh. Mr. Farooq Hassan, President of BGMEA and Managing Director of Giant Group. Mr. Salim Rahman, Managing Director of KDS and Chairman of Al Arafa Islami Bank Limited. Mr. Ranjan Mahtani, Executive Chairman of Epic Group. And Ms. Noreen Chaudhry, Head of Labor Rights Program, Lourdes Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our honored speakers on the dais with a round of applause. Requesting our speakers to please take their position on stage. Requesting our chief guest to make his way to the stage along with our other guest of honor and speakers. Thank you very much for taking your seats. Now I would like to request our first speaker of the session, our guest, Ms. Noreen Chaudhry, Head of Labor Rights Program, Lourdes Foundation, to give her welcome speech. With a round of applause, please welcome Ms. Noreen Chaudhry.
Thank you, everyone. I think I'm the gender balancer on this eminent panel, so no pressure there. We've had the privilege to be part of Sustainable Apparel Forum, I think, since its infancy, and it's a matter of pride, both for the industry and the country, how much we've been able to represent the interests of the stakeholders, mainly the workers, the industry leaders, the donors, the brands. So it's become quite a global event, so it's a privilege to be here. In terms of context, like I said, my name's Noreen Chaudhry. I head the Labor Rights Program for Lourdes Foundation, which used to be CNA Foundation. I think sitting here in this panel, it's a sense of full circle. First of all, I wanted to welcome Honorable Minister, Your Excellencies, Honorable President, industry leaders. I think it's a matter of privilege for me to say that I am part of the second generation of individuals who've grown up in this industry. Many of us here we've had our parents somehow involved in the industry, and I think the story of the apparel industry in Bangladesh is one of a development paradox. It's grown hand in hand and been catalytic of the success that Bangladesh has been able to achieve. But I think critical to this growth has been the millions of women and men workers who built this industry, the industry leaders who've taken a chance on this, the supporters that we've had from global community. I think we're at a critical juncture, given the global crises that we see, be it climate breakdown, inequality, economic turbulence. I think we're at the crossroads where we can continue to invest and build on the development journey that Bangladesh is on through discussions and follow-on actions that we come up with today. The forum here is an opportunity for us to be part of Bangladesh's next chapter of its development journey. And I think we have the resources, the intellectual capacity, the knowledge within this room and within the industry stakeholders to actually translate our intentions, our aspirations into actions for the betterment for not just the industry, but the country as a whole. Thank you for giving me the time to speak here.
Thank you very much, Ms. Noreen Chaudhary. Now I would like to request Mr. Ranjan Mahathani, Executive Chairman of EPIC Group, to give his speech.
Good morning, everybody. Honorable Minister, our foreign dignitaries and all our guests, thank you for having me here today. I'm not a sustainability expert, but it's very close to my heart. So I'll speak to you from our experiences as an entrepreneur, as a businessman. And really, we talk about circular economy, and for us in our business, sustainability has become very close to our heart because it's circular. It comes back to us. We're a company that grows up every day. We learn every day, and I can remember 10 or 12 years ago, if my sustainability experts came to me and said they want solar power and et cetera, I said, who's going to make these big investments? And today we look at this very, very differently. As an entrepreneur, obviously you're running a business to be profitable, but what else is our responsibility? And from our company's standpoint, our two foremost responsibilities is people and environment. And whatever we can do, there is a lot to be done, and we cannot look at what has not been done or what the governments are not doing or doing. What is our personal responsibility in this area in creating a better environment and creating similarly a better working environment for our people? We realized during this journey of 10 years that everything actually comes back. If you give to your people and you have a happy workforce, you have a more efficient workforce. If you have more women's empowerment, if you have more female leaders in your company, ultimately it creates benefits for your company. If you are investing in solar power, I think it's now very easy discussion. With gas hikes and electricity hikes, you're going to get paid back very fast. But there are many other forms of investment and sustainability. It must come from the heart. It must be the passion of the company. And I think that Bangladesh has embodied that with not only having close to 200 green factories, but having this great summit. Mr. Mustafiz, thank you for arranging always these great events. And I think Bangladesh should always look towards the next step, because yesterday's best is not good enough today. We're going to have to be better than that tomorrow. And again, really, I think the audience that we have here today and so many people who are contributing to Bangladesh, whether they are funding companies or from the Apparel Sustainability Congress, I would like to say a big thank you to you, because you are creating a new Bangladesh, and without sustainability, I think Bangladesh would be incomplete. Once again, thank you for having me here today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ranjan Mahathani. Now I would like to request our guest, Mr. Salim Rahman, Managing Director of KDS and Chairman of Al Arafa Islami Bank Limited, to say a few words on this occasion.
Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Tipu Munshi, Member of Parliament, Minister, Ministry of Commerce, His Excellency Mr. Peter Haas, Ambassador, U.S. Embassy in Bangladesh, His Excellency Mr. Charles Wesley, Ambassador and Head of Delegation of the European Union in Bangladesh, Mr. Farooq Hassan, President BGMEA, Mr. Ranjan Mahathani, Executive Chairman, EPIC Group, Ms. Noreen Chaudhary, Head of Labor Rights at Lord's Foundation, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my pleasure to be here in this event which aims to spotlight on such an important issue that matters to all of us. Last couple of years, the entire world, as we faced a situation that we haven't witnessed before, the COVID-19 pandemic, a tiny virus that ran havoc, brought the whole entire world to a halt. However, we are yet to face a deadliest disaster that we never want to come across, impact of climate change that is threatening the whole world. Our planet is at risk of peril. Climate change impact knows no geographical boundary. The disaster will not spare anyone, no matter who emits carbon or not. And the most dangerous thing about it, there are no tools to combat it immediately. It can only be prevented. This is the reason why we have gathered here today, to find out ways to drive sustainability in the fashion industry. We are here to ensure that we grow in the manner that is sustainable and positively impact the economy, the lives of our people, and above all, to protect our planet from the peril and save it for our next generations to come. In business context, sustainability refers to more than just environmentalism. Harvard Business School lists two ways to measure sustainable business practices: the effect of business has on the environment and the effect of business has on society, with the goal of sustainable practice being to have a positive impact on at least one of those areas. This view of responsibility encourages businesses to balance long-term benefits with immediate returns and long-term and goal of pursuing inclusive and environmentally sound objectives. Sustainability is the balance between the environment, equity, and economy. Sustainability is not only about fulfilling social, ecological, and community obligations. It is also about how we remain economically viable through innovation, digitization, diversification, and being more productive. Most major markets across the Asia-Pacific region have established net zero targets and laid out various initiatives to move towards these goals. Take, for example, Singapore has pledged to be more selective on data centers it allows to be built on local shores. Its Green Plan 2030 have paved 10 years journey comprising several targets that can help achieve its goal of net zero emissions, including plans for solar energy to power 350,000 households a year. Japan Green Growth Strategy outlines a path towards carbon neutrality with plans to push green growth across 14 sectors in the country, including renewable energy sources, technologies such as carbon recycling. India's sustainability aspiration, including cutting the emission intensity of its GDP by 45% and achieving 50% cumulative electrical power capacity from non-fossil fuel-based energy resources by 2030. When we talk about sustainability, responsibility also comes to the forefront. In Bangladesh, RMG sector is seen as primary force behind sustainable development. This sector, which accounts for roughly 82% of exports and 9.25% of nation's GDP in fiscal year 2021-22, has a significant influence on socio-economic growth of the country. While as a supplier, we have been making efforts to make our production process cleaner, more energy efficient, and environment friendly. Buyers also have responsibility to extend support to the suppliers in improving its social and environmental performances. Technology. It is no longer adequate for business to deploy IT system based on the highest return on investment or efficiency gain. IT infrastructure must now run with the smallest possible carbon footprint and minimum environmental impact to not only drive sustainability goals set out by enterprise, but also meet consumer and government mandate for sustainable innovations. Technology companies do have responsibilities too. We are living in the age where technology innovations are helping the industry to become more environment friendly, but technologies and machinery should be made affordable, especially for SMEs, so that all can avail them in order to make production process sustainable. Government have responsibilities too. When making regulatory reforms regarding due diligence, things should be considered to ensure parties that come under its purview can comply with them. Support should also be there. Financial institutions have responsibilities. We often notice SMEs do not have easy access to green fund due to stringent norms, but they are mostly in need of affordable finance support to make investment in sustainability. So affordable finance schemes should be kept in place to support SMEs adopting sustainable production process. Industry 4.0 has introduced big data, IoT, and artificial intelligence, which has digitally transformed many companies to become smart, efficient, and more profitable. Additionally, sustainability compliance has become crucial in contemporary global trade for companies to thrive internationally. It is imperative for Bangladesh RMG industry to become sustainable and smart to future-proof its growth. There is something else I would like to touch base upon, circularity. Circularity describes economic, technical, and environmental system that aims to eliminate waste, maximize, and reuse resources. Circular systems make use of design, recycling, reuse, remanufacturing, refurbishment to create a closed-loop system based on the ideal of preserving virgin material, reducing waste creation, and maximizing waste reuse. Circularity principles provide an opportunity to reduce operational risk and increase the resilience of an enterprise through switching to renewable energy source and recycled material. It is estimated that over $1 trillion annually could be saved globally by 2025 when the adoption of circular economy practice. Circularity contributes to more sustainable world, but not all sustainability initiative contributes to circularity. Circularity focus on resource cycle, which sustainability, while sustainability is more broadly related to people, the planet, and economy. Circularity and sustainability stands in a long tradition of related vision, model, and theories. Finally, sustainability is not about integrating technologies and practices into production process. It is also about our attitude and behavior. When we take a sip from a small bottle of water and throw the rest of the bottle, it doesn't reflect sustainable behavior. What I would like to say, that if we join our hands together, the goal that we all want to achieve is not very far away. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Salim Rahman. Now I'd like to request Mr. Farooq Hassan, President of BGMEA and Managing Director of Giant Group, to kindly say a few words on this occasion.
Mr. Tipu Munshi MP, Honorable Commerce Minister, Excellencies, representative from Brand Development Partner, distinguished presence, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. First, I'd like to cordially thank the organizers, especially I want to appraise Mustafis for successfully running the previous 3 editions of Sustainable Apparel Forum and for organizing this fourth one. I believe this platform will create a tremendous opportunity for all of us to enlighten ourselves, and we will gather many fresh and informative views from the panel discussion, presentation, and interaction. As far as the sustainability is concerned, it sits at the top of our agenda in BGMA and in the sector at large. And our strides towards sustainability, particularly the environmental and social sustainability in past decade, testify this fact. We have ensured 100% safety in terms of fire, structural, and electrical remediation within the workplace, which has restored global confidence in us. We have taken a number of initiatives to ensure the better well-being of our workers. While safety at work and well-being is a supreme consideration for us, we are working to ensure their education. Around 100 female workers from this industry enroll in Asian Women University with the support of their respective factories. We have planned to increase this number to 500 within next few years. We haven't only limited ourselves within social territory, but also have taken further steps to make the industry greener and cleaner, which proves our commitment and dedication towards a more resilient, sustainable, and better industry. We have now the highest number of LEED green factories. We have 53 out of world top 100 green factories in Bangladesh. Moreover, another almost 550 factories are in the pipeline for getting certification. And for the first time ever for any association, BGME won the USGBC Leadership Prize in 2021 as well. As the apex association of the garment industry in Bangladesh, BGME has realigned its vision with ESG priorities to expedite the green revolution. We have taken a series of initiatives under its Sustainability Vision 2030. From the inception of the garment industry in Bangladesh in the early 80s, the business have followed a linear model of cradle to grave. The current trajectory needs to change, and we want to create a sustainable future, and one of the key strategies to do so is through resource decoupling. The circular economy can build a pathway for green environmental sustainability cope with economic growth. The concept of a circular promotes a regenerative, restorative, and sustainable economic model. While we move towards a circular economy, the skill and effectiveness of our industries have to continue to improve to the competitive in the global marketplace. Since this is a relatively new topic, not much is known about yet, we need to raise awareness amongst ourselves regarding this topic, which will eventually help us to understand the global value chain and develop market-based solutions for promoting of sustainable production and consumption. Ensuring the sustainable business environment is now one of the major priorities of today's fashion world. In past few years, a number of due diligence have come up, particularly the EU is going to adopt a new due diligence guidance which push forward with rules of mandatory human rights and environmental due diligence. Yes, regulation is necessary, but we do not want to duplicate the approach. We do not want country-specific or trading block-specific legislation. We want such legislation which is accepted by all the players in the global fashion industry. So basically, we want convergence in due diligence of different countries. We want level playing field across the supply chain as well. At the same time, the fashion industry needs to agree on a globally standardized approach to purchasing practice and a due diligence. Otherwise, it will become too difficult for the suppliers to comply with the 1,000 different structures. The policy makers in both suppliers and consumer side should encourage more socially inclusive business approach through policy and other support to smoothen the path towards responsible business. Since new due diligence are coming, we need to build our capacity to comply with those. While we talk about responsible business and sustainable trade, it should not be confined within the manufacturer's label, because manufacturers are a part of the supply chain, and every individual within the supply chain has their own role and responsibility. So a hand-holding approach is needed to ensure a sustainable business environment and all the due diligence within the total supply chain. The core mantra of sustainability, no one leaving behind. Our commitment is to take the RMG industry to the next level of sustainability, and we are looking comprehensively to all the possible areas of concern. As we are preparing for the next growth phase of our industry, we need to create a resilient business model where all the risks, plan, and innovation will be shared. Because in the past 2 years, during COVID, one thing we better learn, which is the importance of a resilient supply chain. So we need to put emphasis on build up a resilient and sustainable business model to overcome the future challenges. For that, we need more support from the advanced economy in terms of product and fiber diversification, innovation, technological upgradation, reskilling and upskilling our people. You may know that we have established PGMA Center of Innovation, Efficiency, and Occupational Safety and Health. The center will work as an exchange hub of industry-wide best practices at its endeavors to disseminate knowledge to beneficiary group continuously in the area of product development, efficiency, use of technologies, process upgradation, environmental sustainability, and social innovation. We need assistance from all of our stakeholders to make the center more vibrant and useful. So please come forward, collaborate, and exchange knowledge and expertise to ensure more decent employment and build a resilient and sustainable fashion industry. I sincerely hope that the 4th edition of Sustainable Apparel Forum will be a successful, the active participation of all. Joy Bangla, may Bangladesh live forever. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Farooq Hassan. Now I'd like to request His Excellency, Mr. Charles Whiteley, Ambassador and Head of Delegation, Delegation of the European Union in Bangladesh, to give his speech.
Honourable Minister, Excellencies, distinguished panellists and attendees, Shubho Shokal and good morning. May I begin by paying tribute to the indefatigable Mostafiz Uddin, the founder and CEO of the Apparel Exchange, and all who made this 4th edition of the Sustainable Apparel Forum a reality. The Canadian philosopher Marshall McLuhan said, "There are no passengers on Spaceship Earth, we are all crew." Everyone has a responsibility to work for a sustainable planet, governments, industry, civil society and individuals. Some facts and figures from Europe that hammer home the scale of this challenge. In Europe, we throw away over 11 kilograms of clothes per person per year, which is staggering. Textiles are the 5th largest source of carbon dioxide emissions linked to private consumption. About 3/4 of these emissions relating to European consumption take place outside the EU. Third, the production and handling of clothing, footwear and household textiles sold in the EU uses 104 cubic meters of water per person per year. The textile and apparel sector is the beating heart of EU-Bangladesh trade relations. Exports to the European Union have risen from €3 billion in 2002 to €24 billion last year. The recipe for that success is evident. Everything but arms-powered market access and the hard work and dedication of the industry in Bangladesh and the brands that work with it. Now that recipe needs to evolve to meet the demands of a world that is grappling with new environmental, political, commercial and consumer realities. First, the graduation of Bangladesh to developing country status and the transition to GSP+. This is undoubtedly engendering some uncertainty, which is never ideal for business. Some of that uncertainty will be lifted soon with the finalization of the new EU GSP regulation that will use trading relations for 10 years from 2024. We need to intensify the work we are doing together, EU, government, business and civil society, to ensure a smooth and certain transition. Second, Bangladesh must steal a march on its competitors by becoming a centre of excellence for compliance and industrial innovation to meet the challenges of the green transition. There is every possibility that this can become a reality with outstanding examples already in place. The European Union is with you in that transformation. We continue to engage on the National Action Plan for the labour sector, and as Team Europe, with our member states, we are heavily investing in the decent work agenda. We're also poised to deliver hundreds of millions of euros in support to the generation of renewable energy in Bangladesh, to help the country meet its goal of generating 40% of its energy needs from renewables by 2041. Our European Chamber of Commerce, that will fully operationalise this year, will assist business in navigating the admittedly prolific EU legislation that is on its way in areas such as due diligence and the circular economy. Third, concerns over fair prices and fair wages for workers must not be overlooked as compliance improves, whilst of course ensuring that Bangladesh remains competitive in a fierce global market. I would like to close with another quote, this time from the Anglo-Irish philosopher Edmund Burke. "Nobody made a greater mistake than he who did nothing because he could only do a little." We all need to do something to address the greatest challenge of our times. Little is certainly better than nothing, but with the energy and commitment on display at events like this one, doing a lot is also within our collective reach. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Now I'd like to request His Excellency, Mr. Peter D. Haas, Ambassador of U.S. Embassy in Bangladesh, to please give his speech.
Good morning, and it's a wonderful honor to be here today at this event that brings us all together to talk about such an important topic, the sustainability within the garment and apparel industry. I think all of you know, I don't need to tell you, that garments have been just an integral part of Bangladesh's incredible economic transformation over these past few decades. And the United States is pleased to be the largest destination for Bangladeshi garment exports. We're also proud to be the #1 investor in Bangladesh, with much of that investment being in the energy sector, which powers your factories. We look to continue to rise and to expand them. And we're also proud to work with all stakeholders, workers, factory owners, the government, and clothing brands to strengthen and sustain the sector. As previous speakers have made clear, sustainability as a topic has many different aspects: environmental, supply chains, recycling, energy usage. But I want to talk and focus my remarks on one specific aspect: the role of workers and labor as a part and a key part of moving towards greater sustainability. We applaud all of the efforts Bangladesh has made over the past decade to enact and to reform labor laws and safety laws, their regulations, their practices in building of green factories. But we still remain concerned that too many workers across Bangladesh cannot exercise basic rights to freedom of association and collective bargaining. We're also concerned that workers in export processing zones have no access to these rights at all. And so we remain committed to supporting workers' rights worldwide, because we believe that an empowered workforce is also directly linked to sustainability. Sustainable economic growth in the garment sector and beyond must go hand in hand with strong labor rights, which include the rights of workers to form and join independent trade unions and collectively bargain for better working conditions. And workers also need to have remedies for labor violations. Labor law reforms, effective implementation, and enforcement are all required to ensure Bangladesh is ready for its transition to middle-income status. Obviously, to sustain the garment sector, Bangladesh and its partners will need to move up the value chain by exporting higher value-added products, which earn better prices for Bangladesh garment exports. And we believe that strong labor protections can help achieve this. So it's not just that we talk about worker protection in terms of safety, in terms of wages, in terms of childcare. It's also about giving workers a voice and making them a part of stability. So we know that this is a slow progress, that this is something that is happening, and we think that it's a good thing. And that by doing it, that Bangladesh will have a stronger garment sector and greater exports. But these are really just exciting times in which technology, innovation, and a firm commitment to labor rights can push us to a future where everyone can thrive. And I think through our collective work together, through your own efforts, and through the interests of your consumers and your buyers, that we can make the Bangladesh garment sector more sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Now I'd like to request our chief guest, Honorable Minister, Mr. Tipu Munshi MP, Ministry of Commerce of Government of the People's Republic of Bangladesh, to please come up and say a few words on this occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, our chief guest, Honorable Minister, Mr. Tipu Munshi MP.
His Excellency, Ambassador, U.S. Embassy in Bangladesh, His Excellency Ambassador and Head of Delegation of the European Union of Bangladesh, President BGMEA and Managing Director of Giant Group, Farooq Hassan, Salim Rahman, Chairman of Al Araf Islami Bank. Okay, great. Naureen Chaudhary, I think Head of Labour Right Program, Lourdes. The last gentleman, Mr. Ranjan Mathani, is a very old friend of mine for the last 35 years. Old friendship, but he's not old, I can say. He's quite young. And a lot of dignitaries, business leaders, and Honorable Member of Parliament, one of my best well-wishers, Mr. Savedesan Chaudhary, is in the front row. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Good morning to you all. Really, it's an honor for me to be here today in this esteemed audience at the 4th edition of this Sustainable Apparel hosted by the Bangladesh Apparel Exchange. Sorry. I begin by paying tribute to the father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who laid the foundation of our independence. Thanks to his vision and sacrifice, Bangladesh is now among the fastest growing economy in the world. I feel privileged to be a part of this forum, which aims to promote sustainability in the apparel industry, with over 50 speakers from 25 countries sharing their insight throughout this day. I am confident that this event will contribute significantly to advancing Bangladesh apparel industry in a sustainable manner. In my view, there are two key factors that can foster sustainability in our apparel industry. Firstly, government policies can accelerate the transition from a waste-based economy to a renewable one. I'm pleased to note that under the leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, the government of Bangladesh extending full support to the industry in this regard. Secondly, collaboration is vital for achieving sustainability goals. While there are several initiatives underway, we can achieve even greater results by coordinating and collaborating. I invite all of you to join hands and work together towards a greener future for the apparel industry. I wish the Sustainable Apparel Forum may success in achieving its goal. Let us commit ourselves to integrate sustainability in every aspect of Bangladesh apparel industry, making it a global leader in sustainable practices. I wish every success of this program. Thank you all. Jai Bangla, Jai Bangla.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us today Mr. Sabir Hossain Chaudhry, MP, Chairman, Parliament Standing Committee on Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. We also have with us Her Excellency, Ms. Alexandra Berg von Linde, Honorable Ambassador, Embassy of Sweden in Bangladesh. Thank you very much for being here with us today and gracing this occasion with your presence. Dear audience, before proceeding for the next agenda, we would like to share with you a special message from Mr. Polok Seth, Vice Chairman of PDS Limited, who could not join with us today in person, but sent his kind regards for this forum. Let's take a look at the video.
Distinguished ministers, diplomats and honorable guests from the apparel industry globally, I'm very pleased to get the kind invitation from Mustafa Uddin to speak on this forum today. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there in person, but I'm connecting via a video call and trying to give you a message of PDS contribution to the whole sustainability journey in the fashion industry. PDS has a long history in Bangladesh. We set up our operation there almost now 22 years back, and I've been working from a small operation to being one of the most ethically sound and sustainable players in the Bangladesh garment industry. PDS is working as a company with close to 250 retailers and brands globally and around 600 factories around the world, procuring product in a sustainable and ethical manner. So we do it in few ways. PDS sets up a venture capital arm, right? The focus of the venture capital arm is to make sure that we are funding startups coming from the top universities around the world, like Stanford, Oxford, Cambridge, London School of Fashion, and also Imperial College. So bright young people from these top universities are coming with certain aspects of how to move the fashion industries forward, and PDS investing seed capital behind these young people, looking at things from a new lens and making sure that they come for sustainability solutions in the fashion industry. Then on the sustainability journey, there are two things we are doing. We see what goods going into our retail customer stores come from a sustainable source, but once the goods leave the stores, how they don't end up in the landfill and become part of the circular economy. So on the first bit, how goods going into store come from a sustainable source, PDS has set up companies like Positive Material and a lot of investments where basically we look at new fabric technology, new dyeing and finishing technology, and also manufacturing technology that are going to be completely sustainable. So this is a very important aspect, how we reduce the carbon footprint of goods, moving from the supply chain into stores in a more sustainable manner. And once goods leave the store, they should not end up in landfill and become part of the circular economy. So PDS Group, has backed Yellow Octopus for the last 10 years, and they're one of our PDS Group subsidiary companies. And through that, we have invested in many other businesses like Upcycle Labs, which ensure that when goods leave the store, they don't become part of the landfill and are upcycled to become either new material or other items that do not end up in landfill but completely make our industry circular. PDS Group has partnered with a global fashion fund based out of Amsterdam, and we are one of the first investments in Bangladesh. PDS also is making sure that the way we are moving forward as an industry, we are representing some of the largest retailers and brands in some of the key sourcing markets. So one of the reasons these big brands put the trust and confidence on PDS is because of our ESG agenda. They respect the way we operate in every country. They believe that PDS can manage risk and reputation even better than sometimes they can in the key markets we operate because of our governance standards and our financial stability. So we are a key partner to some of the largest retailers around the world, setting up sourcing operation for them in a sourcing as a service model in some of the key locations where we operate. So PDS commitment to sustainable fashion is there for last many years. We are very honored that a person like Mustafa Uddin based in Bangladesh and the Bangladesh Apparel Forum are working in partnership with us, to move the whole global fashion agenda forward. We see how Mustafa is trying to bring all stakeholders together, and we are very grateful to be part of his journey and work together to make the fashion industry more sustainable in the future. So thank you for your time. It is great to connect with you all virtually this time, but hopefully in the future in person. All the best. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the economy of Bangladesh is growing rapidly. In this land of vast opportunity for businesses and entrepreneurs, there is also a growing need for making businesses circular. However, becoming circular requires a lot more than just aspiration. It requires a proper plan, knowledge sharing, and collaboration among cross-sectoral key stakeholders. That's why, to explore the prospects of a circular transition in Bangladeshi industries, we are pleased to announce two incredible upcoming events: the Bangladesh Circular Economy Summit and the Bangladesh Circular Apparel and Textile Forum, both commencing on June 15th of 2023, right here at the Radisson Blu Water Garden. The first event of their kind focused entirely on building a circular economy in Bangladesh. At the Bangladesh Circular Economy Summit, we will delve deeper into understanding the circular business models and their applicability in the diverse industries of Bangladesh. And the Bangladesh Circular Apparel and Textile Summit, we will focus specifically on how circularity principles are being adopted in the RMG industry and inspiring further circular and sustainable growth of the apparel and textile industry. We invite all of you to attend both of these incredible events. We would now like to formally announce the event. I would like to request our chief guest to do the formal announcement. Can we please have Thank you very much. Requesting our chief guest along with the key guest of honors to please come up and press the switch in front. We can see on that side of the room. And with that, we formally announce the Bangladesh Circular Economy Summit and the Bangladesh Circular Apparel and Textile Forum to take place on June 15th, 2023. We will now take a formal photograph. And with that, we have come to the end of the opening plenary session. We look forward to seeing you at the Bangladesh Circular Economy Summit and Bangladesh Circular Apparel and Textile Summit. Thank you very much for being here with us. Requesting our honored guests to take their seats off stage. Okay, done. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now be moving forward to the next plenary session. The fashion industry has a profound impact on both the environment and the worker who produce its products. The production of raw materials and the manufacture of clothing and accessories contribute to significant greenhouse gas emissions, while the working conditions of many workers in the industry are often less than ideal. In order to ensure the sustainability of the fashion industry and improve the well-being of its workers, it is imperative that the industry takes meaningful action to address the effects of climate change. In this regard, Bangladesh Apparel Exchange has come forward to unite all under one umbrella and work towards a better and greener supply chain for the fashion industry. Ladies and gentlemen, our first plenary session of today's event is Climate Action, a prerequisite to worker well-being and the sustainability of the fashion industry. I would like to request Mr. Sabir Hossain Chaudhry MP, Chairman, Parliament Standing Committee on Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Her Excellency Ms. Alexandra Berg von Linde, Honorable Ambassador, Embassy of Sweden in Bangladesh, Mr. Ziaur Rahman, Regional Country Manager, Production, Bangladesh, Pakistan and Africa of H&M, Dr. Salimul Haq, Director, ICC CAD, Professor of IUB, Mr. Paul Wright, Group Executive Director of ESG PDS Group, Ms. Noreen Chaudhry, Head of Labor Rights Program, Laudes Foundation, Ms. Bernadette Blom, Director of Good Fashion Fund of Netherlands, and Dr. Shahriar Mahmood, Chief Sustainability Officer of Spinnova PLC Finland, to please come up on stage to take their seats on the dais. I would also like to request Mr. Morten Lehmann, CEO and founder of Tailwind, to please come up and moderate this session. The total duration of the plenary session will be 45 minutes. A reminder bell will be played at 20th and 40th minute of this session. During this session, we will be conducting audience polls on issues relating to panel topic. Please scan the QR code on the back side of the identity card given to you at registration desk and participate at the polls question of the session when the moderator asks. I'm leaving the floor now to Mr. Morten Lehmann. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be starting our first plenary session, requesting all of you to kindly take your seats, please. I would like to repeat myself once again. We're starting our first plenary session on climate action, a prerequisite to worker well-being and the sustainability of the fashion industry, requesting all of you to kindly take your seats, please.
That's the most difficult.
Exactly. Is it working?
So, in respect of time, we have a lot of interesting things to go through today and in this panel. So if we could kindly ask you to sit down, that would be amazing. And my name is Morten Lehmann. It's a big honor to be moderating this amazing session. And before we get started, while you sit down, I just want to say a big thanks to the team behind this event, Bangladesh Apparel Exchange. It's absolutely amazing to be in this room yesterday, see what it looked like, to come in here today and see all of this, and everything you have with you on the screen is, I think, well done. So just a big hand of applause for me to the whole team that's behind this conference here today. They've done an absolutely amazing job. So in this session, we will be discussing climate change and its effect on worker well-being. So it's a topic that until now, until the last couple of years, we've dealt with climate change, worker building isolated in silos. But more recently, we found out that it's very important to talk about how climate change is related to worker well-being. And that is the challenge and the issue we'll be tackling today. I have with me an amazing panel that can discuss this topic from very different angles as different stakeholders. But before we get started, I want to give the microphone over to the Honorary Mr. Saber Chowdhury, Member of Parliament, to address us and set the scene on the importance of climate change, climate risks, and worker well-being. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Motem. Assalamu alaikum and good morning. I have to my left very renowned panelists, so I will not go into introducing all of them, so I would just say all protocols observed. I don't have a written speech or a presentation to make to you, but what I thought I would do is just share a few thoughts with regard to the defining challenge of climate change that not just Bangladesh, but the world as a whole faces today. We see climate change as an existential threat to the lives and livelihoods of people in Bangladesh. So when you look at it and you frame the issue in terms of an existential threat, you can see and easily imagine the impact that it has on the health and well-being and livelihood of workers in particular. And we know, and earlier this morning we have heard about how critical and how central workers are in this whole discourse, and ensuring fair wages for them, ensuring good living conditions. And we have seen from a number of reports, whether it is the Lancet report, which talks about the relationship between climate change and health, the productivity loss, the heat impacts, we know the river erosion. So whether it is the workers themselves being directly impacted or their families, I think this is, of course, one of our biggest challenges. So when we look at sustainability, climate change, of course, is one aspect of many which seriously threatens to undermine this. And in the Bangladesh Parliament, we have taken a resolution where we talk not just about the existential threat of climate change, we also talk about the intensity and frequency of natural disasters. We talk about water stress, given that the glacial melt in the Himalayas is far more than it's ever been. We talk about food security, biodiversity loss. So all of these are having an overall impact on the economy of Bangladesh. So I think this discussion is very timely. I thank Mustafiddin for this initiative, and we hope that the recommendations that will come from it will allow us to at least ask the right questions when we try and find answers. One point I would like to mention in particular is how we look at sustainability. And we have heard this morning we can look at it through the lens of environment, through the lens of the impact it has on the economy. The other very fundamental question, and I hope this forum is going to address that, is sustainability in terms of prices. Sustainability in terms of prices that our government exporters receive for their products. Based on various studies I've seen, our exporters probably receive about anything from 17 to 20%. The rest 80% is lost in intermediate layers. So how can we talk about sustainability of the fashion industry when the basic concept of pricing and how that price is distributed is not addressed? If we don't do that, then conditions in Bangladesh will not improve to the extent we want them to improve. And it creates globally a dog-eat-dog world because one party will look at their gain and we don't look at the overall picture. So I hope this also, Moten, is going to be an issue that is going to be discussed. I wish you all excellent deliberations. I am sorry I will not be able to be here to hear all of the discourses and discussions. I'm excited about the sustainability and circular economy initiative that is going to take place in June, and hopefully I'll see you I see all of you then. So have a great conference and good day. Joy Bangla, Joy Bangabandhu, Chiroj Bihok Bangladesh.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for setting the scene. So before we start with all the panelists, I want to let you all know that we also want to hear from you. We have a lot of knowledge here, but also we know we have a lot of knowledge in the room. So be prepared listen to what they say, because we will be asking you a question in around 20 more minutes. So scan this code, be prepared to answer a question so that we can also get your input to this important discussion. So, to get us started, we'll ask Your Excellency, the Ambassador to Sweden. Can you tell us a bit about what Sweden does in terms of working with both the human rights, the social aspects, and the environmental side in the RMG sector?
Certainly, Martin. Thanks for having me here today at this very dynamic and interesting event. I think it's fair to say that sustainability has been high on the agenda of Sweden for many years, both from a government perspective, but also from a company and business perspective. This is also a clear priority for Sweden, as we now have taken over the EU presidency from January this year. So sustainability and the green transition is a key priority for us. We have heard many definitions of how we work with sustainability here this morning. And from the Swedish perspective, we really see it as a holistic approach. And what do I mean with that? Well, for us, social, economic, and environmental sustainability go hand in hand. And you cannot really look at these areas in a silo. Our experience is that what we have done during many years now is cultivate economic growth through a social and environmental sustainable manner. If we see a bit of this environmental sustainability point of view, there are mainly two mechanisms that we work with. One is, of course, the climate financing mechanism, and the other one is the technological know-how that Swedish green tech companies have. From a policy perspective, we recently announced a doubling of our climate support to 15 billion Swedish crowns by 2025. And some of that includes, but it's not limited to, helping countries to implement the green transition in different industries, then including the fashion industry. We are big supporters per capita to, for instance, the Global Environmental Facility and the Green Climate Fund. And while this is important, and while it is important to reduce existing emissions in the fashion industry, it's also important to look at the emission from a capturing what is already there point of view. And that's where green tech, the development of green technology comes in, really. Despite our humble size, we consistently rank on the top of most innovative countries. And the reason we do that is that we invest a lot in research and development, also when it comes to these areas. Given the importance that we have in the fashion industry and in the RMG industry here in Bangladesh, not least with the substantial Swedish presence of Swedish fashion brands. Last year we launched our sustainable fashion platform. So this is a little bit of our flagship initiative to try to gather and focus our efforts of supporting Bangladesh to do a green transition within the RMG industry. So we have some of our biggest brands included in this platform. And the purpose is twofold, really. The first one is to try to bring in Swedish green tech competence and know-how to help the suppliers and support them in the green transition and in making RMG more sustainable. And the second thing is to have a comprehensive dialogue with Bangladesh and the Bangladeshi stakeholders about the policy reforms that need to take place in order for this to happen. So that's on the environment sustainability side. The other part of it is, of course, social sustainability. And from a Swedish perspective, we have been involved in the decent work agenda for many years now. At the moment, Sweden and other EU member states are engaged in evolving a program to support Bangladesh commitment under the Decent Work Agenda. So we have a target that by 2026 there will be an improved policies and laws, a more accountable labor market institutions and sustainable business practices in place within this program. But as I said from the beginning, and this I will soon stop, environment and social sustainability for us go hand in hand. So some of the things that we also do is to try to engage and develop the RMG workers in skills training. Given the automatization and the digitalization that the RMG industry will have to go through in order to do a green transition, we think that this specific part of actually preparing the RMG workers for this process is of immense importance. So we have different programs and projects that we also do to increase the skills of above all female garment workers to this end. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. So over to one of the brands who is present here today, Mr. Sayur Rahman. You're the Regional Country Manager of Production from H&M. Can you tell us a bit about H&M works with this linking climate with worker welfare, and also your guidance to the people in this room? How should they approach this?
Thank you so much. As our Excellency's Ambassador says, it's a dynamic event. It's truly a dynamic event and really meaningful because the discussion and the summary of this, I see even in earlier event also the government and the policymaker take it very seriously. So truly an honor to be here. And thanks to Mr. Mustafiz, I don't know where he is, for arranging it over and over. Good. To answer your questions, I think as a large buyer in Bangladesh, we recognize our responsibility, and we can't just do it by ourselves alone. So that's why we usually tag with our other brands. And I have seen a lot of European and also American brands also, where the vision and mission goes, align together. We usually tag together and work it actually for it. Sustainability is a word, I think it's not a word anymore, because it becoming a sourcing decision, an integrated part of that, because the platform that we have in our supply chain, if it is really sustainable, it is a particular, we've gone through really a lot of process with that. So that create, you're okay, all right. So this is how we actually source it. But at this moment, I think this climate change, this is not a buzzing word anymore, because as a part of this, this Paris Agreement that we have signed together with a lot of other people as well, we really put those as a condition for our sourcing. And one of the big sourcing destination in Bangladesh, we really practice it here. This, I must say here, the legislation is coming up in Europe. This is very, very important. It's no more that how we produce it here, because it's not a garments anymore. How it has an impact on the climate, how carbon intense it is. The Europe will verify that. And whether the garments has any recycled materials or not. That will be calculated, it will be tagged to the garments. So this is, it looks like, it was almost like a myth a couple of years ago, but now it's happening. We will have a tag in the garment saying this much carbon emission happens for this, and a certain company doing this and this and that. I think that become one of the biggest challenges in front of us in our supply chain, and it's not a problem that we cannot solve alone. And that's why I say that originally we work with others, because together then we do it. And Bangladesh, this journey, if you see last 40 years, is an incredible journey. So I'm sure that if we work together with the new innovations and others, the future is ours. But I think because I would say that we have the true mentality, the right mentality here. I will stop it here if you have any other questions later.
Thank you very much. It's a good place to stop. The future is ours. Paul Wright, you have a title of Group Executive Director ESG from the PDS Group. As an ESG Director, Environmental, Social and Governance Director, can you talk a little bit about how the sometimes less prioritized S for social works hand in hand with your work on the E on environmental?
Thanks, Martin. I think I've got this saying that there is no E without the S, and if I could rewind the clock 10, 15 years when someone developed this title, ESG, I would change it to SEG. You can't claim sustainable product when people have been compromised or it's been made in a facility that you wouldn't be proud to stand in. And I've read articles about online retailers where the claim is that they're the most sustainable brand in the world, but they probably wouldn't allow you to stand in any of their factories. So the two go hand in hand, and actually the S should become before the E. You can't have one without the other. I think the challenge for our industry is that actually we're facing a massive change, but the way that we procure, the way that we think about how we develop product, we're still not changing, but all the solutions are out there. If I look at how we develop products within our industry, actually, it was taken from the blueprint from how M&S did things 20, 30 years ago, and we're still doing the same, still carrying out the same ways of working. So we're not developing and changing the way that we work. The way that we forecast needs to change. So we're moving away from famine and feast. This is having a really negative effect on worker well-being, and we touched on what is the impact on workers. Well, we're moving from excessive working hours to kind of little or no work, and actually a race to the bottom again in terms of what prices Bangladeshi factories have to accept because there's no work. So we have to move away from this short-term view to actually a longer-term view, and we can no longer forecast what the future is going to be. I don't think we know what's going to happen next week, let alone in 6 months, and we have to adopt digital product development, shorten the lead times, but work hand in hand. And I think with that as well, when I move back to long-term, we need to maintain long-term working relationships with suppliers. So my ask of brands and retailers is actually they don't take a 6-month view of who gets that order. They take a 6-year view, and with that, then to meet all the challenges around legislation and traceability, you can do that. So at the moment, as an industry, what we're saying is we couldn't possibly trace all this product and where it's come from. Why can't we do that? Because every 6 months, we're changing where we buy the product from. So as an ethical team, and as a sustainability team, you're having to restart that work every 6 months, and it's virtually impossible. So I think those are some of the challenges that we face. I think Bangladesh, if I compare where we were in terms of social compliance 15, 20 years ago, my big call out to Bangladesh is the brands and retailers filled the space and the vacuum that was left by Bangladesh and this industry. Don't allow them to do that again. You've got a strong position, you've taken a strong start, build on that, and actually own the topic.
I couldn't have done that much better. Thank you very much. We've now heard from brands, manufacturers, but sometimes we forget that we have this very long value chain, and it starts before that. So I'm very happy to have with me also Sharira Mahmood, who is the Chief Sustainability Officer of Spinova. So can you tell us a bit from your point of view as an innovator, as a fiber product producer, why is this important?
Great. Good morning, everyone. Great to be here, and thanks again to Mustafiz Bhai. It's been a pleasure to get introduced with him and see his initiatives here, how he is driving the sustainability in the apparel industry in Bangladesh. Maybe before I answering that question, I would like to little bit get to know that what Spinnova is and what is about the innovation. We know that in the cellulose domain, there are a lot of innovation in the fiber level. We have seen that actually there are a lot of cellulosic fibers around in the globe. But where Spinnova stands out of those are through the innovation itself. We know the cellulosic fibers are produced in a very chemical way with very high intensive chemical processes, but Spinnova produces or invented a technology to produce the cellulosic fiber completely mechanically. So we take the same raw material, let's say wood pulp, and produce the fiber in a very mechanical way. It's almost biomimicking how the spider is producing their fiber or the web. In the spider there are the dope, and when it's coming out, it's basically a fiber. So in case of Spinnova, it's also the same, that we take a dope of cellulose that made out of wood pulp, and when it is coming out of the nozzle, it's basically a fiber ready. Which means that we do not have any water process, we do not have to use any chemical in the process, we do not need to use any other thing than heating up that little water we have in the solution. It means we get only the fiber. What we put in, we are getting out as a fiber. It means it's a 100% waste-free process, and we are proud also to share that the production unit to be operated in no time. So I have been asked by Morten to share something related to well-being and of course the worker safety, health and safety in the value chain whole, where it has some connection and impact. I believe that it can be taken from the end-to-end approach. So when we talk about the raw material that we are using, we basically try to get only the, let's say, FSC or PFC certified raw material. It means that in the value chain from where you are getting raw material, it's completely, you can track back. And then of course in Spinnova's process, the fiber making process itself is, it's a completely chemical free process. It means that the workers' safety is very much there, and also if we think about the physical safety, that's also, it's a fully closed process. It means that there is a very less chance to be happening something on the physical manner also. Then if we go further in the product level, because ultimately it will be touching the consumer, and then the consumer health and safety is also very much related there. As Spinnova, we have seen from the formulation point of view, we do not modify anything chemically. It means that the originality of the cellulose, it means what you're getting from the tree, it's retaining in the fiber. It's a very pure fiber, which means that when we produce the fiber, a product eventually, it actually keeps all these kind of things. Let's say if there is a chemical process to produce the fiber, there are traces of chemicals, harmful substances, but in case of Spinnova, there are no such. So, well, all in all, we are still in a very early stage, about to scale up our productions and so on, but I think there are a lot to give with this innovation. And that will be eventually better for the whole chain end to end. And of course, very important to mention that the fiber itself is biodegradable and microplastic free, as this is cellulosic product. So I think I really see that all the sustainability aspect that should have in a product is in Spinnova fiber.
Amazing. And now for our next speaker, I'm excited about all of you, but over the last 10 years, what has excited me the most is that for some years it looked like we were navigating all these challenges a bit blindfolded, but we are starting more and more to actually listen to scientists. So for that reason, I am very happy to have on this panel Dr. Salamul Huq, Director, ICCAD, Professor, Independent University of Bangladesh. So what does science actually tell us on this link between climate change and worker well-being?
Thank you very much, Martin, and good morning to everybody. So I'm very glad to see, and congratulations to Mustafiz for organizing this event and this panel on climate change. I remember years ago telling him that this is something that will have to be done, and I'm very, very glad that he's doing it and that we have a really informed discussion going forward here and hopefully out of this conference. So I'll just give you three messages from the scientific community, if you like. One at the global level, one at the national level, and then one at the individual level as well. At the global level, I'm afraid we have bad news. Climate change is happening. It's affecting every country in the world. And in the near term, we can't do much about it. In the long term, we can prevent even worse happening, but bad is locked in. Bad is going to happen. And unfortunately for us here in Bangladesh, we happen to be placed in the part of the world where it's going to be very bad. And we have to be prepared for that. Now, the good news is we know that. We've known that for some time. The government of Bangladesh has been taking this very seriously, has been developing national plans. Most recently, we have something called the Mujib Climate Prosperity Plan, where the government of Bangladesh has invested with the scientists in looking at how Bangladesh can not just cope with the impacts of climate change, but prosper despite those impacts of climate change. And a very important part of that message is the role of the private sector in learning how to do that. Business as usual is not going to work. Business as usual will suffer the impacts of climate change. But if you can change business as usual and become more sustainable, more circular, you're learning all the words now, you need to be able to practice them, not just talk the talk, but walk the walk. And that is an important part that I will advise everybody here, particularly the industry leaders and the industry decision makers. You need to understand this new phenomena of climate change and environmental issues. We just heard about a number of them. I won't repeat that. But you're going to have to change the way you work. You're going to have to do this not necessarily because it's profitable right now. It may not be profitable now, but in the longer run, it will be. And I would argue that the reason for you to do this is for your own children and for your own families. It's the right thing to do. That's why you should do it. Profits will follow. They may not come today, but they will come tomorrow. And if you work together strategically, then you will be able to definitely capitalize on that. And let me end by just offering support from my center. We're a research institute working on environment and climate. We are very happy to reach out and work with all of you who are interested in making sure that you not just learn the words and parrot them and claim to be doing things, but actually do them in practice. Very big difference between saying you're doing something and actually doing it. You don't want to be accused of greenwash. We can help you do that. We can help you build your knowledge and capacity to actually deliver on doing the right kind of things, which now everybody is realizing and talking about. We need to take the next step to actually deliver on it. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you very much. So over to you, Noreen Chowdhury. The Loudest Foundation is working with these issues we know. Can you give some advice to all of us on how do this just transition happen so that we benefit also workers?
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be part of this eminent panel with excellencies, industry leaders, Zia Bhai. And, you know, this panel represents certain facets of the piece. What are the bilateral agencies doing? Who's unlocking finance? We can look towards Bernadette. And it's a pleasure to share the panel with Dr. Salim Ul Haq, who recently got an OBE from the Prince of Wales. So it just shows that he started talking about these topics before it became cool. And it's lovely to be part of the generation that is going to find the solutions. I think there's immense outrage, but there's also optimism. And events such as this unlock not just the intellectual capital, but the resources needed to position the dialogue in the right place and also find the solutions. So just a little spiel. As a philanthropic foundation, we see value not only in the resources we can bring to the table, but also our ability to experiment, build the field, connect unlikely allies and coalition. Bangladesh, as the 7th most vulnerable country in the world, just transition is a lived reality every day. We address this challenge by ensuring that workers have a just transition to a climate-positive, inclusive economy, including social protection for workers, promoting incentives for accountability in line with what Dr. Haq said, including transparency and regulatory mechanisms. I think that was discussed in the panel earlier today, and promoting collective action, collaborative voices, the agency of workers and communities and the organizations that support them. Already we're seeing that we're building the capacity of worker-led organizations such as Awaj and Bangladesh Center for Worker Solidarity to really identify the what's in it for me. As a garment worker, climate change really, I mean, do I know what just transition means? Yet my future is being discussed, debated, planned 30,000 miles away. So we need to really hunker down and socialize the concepts so that the terminology is not divisive. Workers understand where they can play a role, and they have a role to play. They're part of the negotiations, the design, the implementation, and the policy. Someone once told me this last week, and I think this individual is on this panel, and I'll quote this person. It is not our job or role to bring in the solutions. It is our job and responsibility to provide the tools, networks, resources for the impacted communities. They can find their own solutions. We are just a proxy towards that process. Thank you for giving me these.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Finally, Benedette Bloem, Director of the Good Fashion Fund from the Netherlands. So what's the role of funds and the work you're doing for creating more systemic solutions to this issue?
Thank you. Very pleased to be here. And thank you very much, Mr. Mostovic, for organizing this interesting forum, bringing together many stakeholders. Today I'm going to talk about Good Fashion Fund. Good Fashion Fund is an initiative of the Lawless Foundation, and it was established to create a systemic change in the apparel and textile industry by financing impactful technologies and connecting them to manufacturers in Bangladesh and in India. So very happy to be in Bangladesh this week, actually. And we connect impact technologies to manufacturers to generate significant and measurable environmental impact. So we work with the manufacturers to make them more sustainable. And I mean, for instance, closed-loop manufacturing, but also cleaner and lesser energy use in the production process, recyclable and safer materials, but also fair jobs and growth. They are all equally important. So what does the Good Fashion Fund provide? We provide long-term US dollar loans, so it's debt financing to implement this technology. But we take a holistic approach. And what I mean with a holistic approach is that although we finance environmental impact technology, we also look at the social side of the manufacturer. So we have a thorough due diligence process. We work with expert partners in the field of environmental and social. And for instance, we look at the workers' health and safety, at their rights, but also we jointly with the manufacturer really work on developing a so-called social action plan that's implemented during the term of our loan, where we support the manufacturer where we can to improve on these elements. So it's really a joint cooperation. Very happy to say that we signed our first transaction in Bangladesh and are about to sign the second one. And we're looking very much forward to expand our outreach in the coming period in Bangladesh. So we're actively looking at that. And well, please, if you're interested to find out more about the Good Fashion Fund, come and see me, because I'm here together with my colleague the whole day. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, all of us. So now it's up to you, all of you, to pick up your phones, scan this, and answer the question. And the question is an attempt to, as what also said, We talked about climate risk for many years as a thing of the future. It will be a thing of the future, but it's also very much a thing of the present. We're feeling it in Bangladesh, the rest of the world. So what are the tangible solutions that we can implement right here and right now? So I kindly ask you to look at the question, think and look at it and tell us what you think is the most appropriate solution to handling this problem in the right here and now. And hopefully soon on the screen we'll see the results as they pop up with your voting. Final one sentence, what should be done right now and here? If anybody, if we have time. So the question is, where do you see the biggest potential in making sure that climate change does not risk worker well-being in the short, medium term? So right now we have, seems like we have a winner. Ooh. Maybe the number 2 is gaining. No, I think it looks like a clear winner. So the number 1 answer so far is developing workplace climate adaptation plans that identifies risks and vulnerabilities. Any comments from the floor? If you were given the mic, and you could take the mic, and answer, so what should we all be focusing on right now on this big question on making sure that actually the climate risks that we're facing right here now actually can be mitigated for worker well-being? Do you agree? Is it number 1 or any other ideas what should happen?
I don't think I'm going to be so concrete on this one, but when I looked at the answers to this question, my thought went to a quote that my colleague, the EU ambassador, had this morning, a beautiful quote that said something along the lines of, no one can do everything, but we can all do something. So looking at the answers, my reflection would be that, you know, this is a multi-stakeholder approach where we really need the vested interest of all of us in this room. So I'm not sure that I would agree that there is a one option, right answer to this issue, but rather, you know, the holistic view or the holistic approach that we have been speaking to goes also for this question.
Thank you very much. I'll tell you what my message from this is. You have a very high level of awareness of what needs to be done. Now we need to do it. And doing it is more than just putting solar panels on your roofs. That's the easy bit. What you have to do is to build your own knowledge, build the knowledge and skills of your workers and all your partners that you work with. So it's a knowledge-based proposal of dealing with this problem. It's not just a simple bring something in and fix it. And I'm very happy to work with you to make that happen. Thank you.
I think within leadership, a new word is popping up called solutionism, which you want to avoid, because that's jumping to the immediate solution just to do something. So we have to understand what are the root causes of the problems and gain that knowledge and then walk the talk. So you hear the bell, but there's still time to any final word of advice to the audience.
Thank you. So I think it's important, and we will take our part in that, to indeed share lessons learned. We are all, it's a multi-stakeholder approach. I completely agree, a holistic approach. But we should also share our successes and also, I mean, what's not working. So I think that's important.
I totally agree. It's for good reasons, we focus on all the challenges, but I think it is very important also to show all the inspiring stories out there, to make the people who find it just too hard and sit there and it's apathy, it's difficult, but we need to have those good stories out there to inspire others to follow through. Noreen?
I thought somebody's asking. Now, I didn't mention about the circularity, and I can't resist to talk about it, because this is this clear business case. Because, making a waste to giving a life, and it's and not only the second life, also you use less resources and reuse your kind of the earlier product. And it's a clear business case. And I think this is where it has an impact with that, because quite soon we claim the fashion industry that it goes to the landfill. Instead of going to the landfill, you make it another resources, And we actively, as I said earlier, that, and I will borrow your quote again, that our EU delegation head says that, we cannot do alone anything, but together we can do something definitely. And we are together with other brands. We're working together. What can I do? But one of the major area that we see that legislation is something that we really need to overcome, and we are doing advocacy. So that's one thing. I want to remind a little bit, as I can see we still have a little bit of over 2 minutes. In the energy sector, we still have a lot of things to do. We've been talking last couple of months also regarding the PPA, virtual PPA. It sounds a little bit fancy in Bangladesh at this moment, but if the moment you go to India, they've been doing it for a very while, a lot of, quite some time, and it's a success already a sector as well. The renewable energy price gone even cheaper than the coal and other energy. So you see that how the game changes. So I think it's a beginning. We are a little bit late probably in many extent, but as I said earlier, that the future is ours, because the resilience and other that you have this entrepreneur of this industry, and I'm a Bangladeshi, so I know that I born and brought up here. So hats off to our entrepreneurs. I think the future is ours. We just need to work collectively. And there are some low-hanging opportunities. Let's not blame it, rather, how can you achieve it together? So, yeah, thank you so much for giving the opportunity. And again, congratulations to Mustafiz to bring everyone in this room, talking really good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Noreen, final word?
I'll keep it very short and quick. I think as we're transitioning and striving towards a net zero, it's important to, someone once told me, be mindful of the cost of success. And the cost of success is there will be workers and industries that are no longer profitable or sustainable. And as a just transition pathway, we need to start discussing on making sure that those individuals are not left behind, and they're part of the sustainability pathway that we're trying to bring ourselves on this journey along. Thank you.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, we need to stop kicking the can down the road. Signing up to a net zero target by 2050 is really easy. So what I would like to see is that carbon targets are embedded into commercial teams, KPIs, and that's where we'll start to see real change.
Amazing. And I think also, how do you measure success? Do you measure success in the same way you have done? Or do you need to look at a success that is actually compatible with the future we're seeing in terms of climate change, biodiversity change? That then can take Bangladesh into the future. Thank you very much, esteemed panelists.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We will now take a group photograph, requesting all of you to stand together, please. Thank you very much once again for the insightful session. Ladies and gentlemen, now we will have a presentation explaining bestsellers environment focus in Bangladesh. This segment will be conducted by Ms. Felicity Tapsell, Head of Responsible Sourcing Bestsellers. Duration of this presentation will be 5 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Felicity Tapsell for her presentation.
So, first of all, thank you so much. It's very nice to be here, and a big thank you to the team at the Sustainable Apparel Forum for inviting me here today to speak. It's always a pleasure to be here in Dhaka. So when I planned my trip a couple of months back to come to Bangladesh, as an English person, I was extremely excited to see that the English cricket team were also going to be here at the same time as me. So I was very much looking forward to seeing the final match of the T20 series, England versus Bangladesh, at the stadium here in Dhaka, for what I presumed was going to be the end of a very successful tour for the English team. Sadly, or not so sadly actually, I did miss the match on Tuesday because I had a delayed flight. But to be honest, I'm quite glad that I did miss, and I learned a few new terms in the last few days, such as whitewash and Banglawash. So for those of you in the audience who are not cricket fans, it's nothing to do with greenwashing, but congratulations to Bangladesh for a very successful cricket tour. And the lesson learned is never underestimate the Tigers. So my name is Felicity Tapsell. I am Head of Responsible Sourcing at Bestseller. Bestseller are one of the largest fashion wholesalers and retailers in Europe. We have multiple brands which we sell across 70 markets globally. Our largest brands are Jack & Jones, Only, Viramoda, and Bangladesh is one of our most important sourcing regions globally, and we work here in partnership with 80 suppliers. As part of our Fashion Forward sustainability strategy, Bestseller have strong engagement with our suppliers and the wider industry in Bangladesh to support progress towards social and environmental sustainability. Today I would like to focus on our environmental program in Bangladesh, which we developed in collaboration with the Bangladeshi environmental engineering firm, Engineering Resources International, or ERI. We've been running with them for the last 2 years in 30 of our supplier factories here in Bangladesh, which represents more than 85% of Bestseller's business in the country. So we developed the Forward Environment Programme to get an accurate baseline on environmental performance across our key suppliers. We have been involved in cleaner production programs over many years, but we were still missing some key aspects which affected the long-term sustainability and delivery of impactful results. This Forward Environment Programme has a focus on the education and capacity building of factory teams, on identifying savings potentials, and then following up regularly to support the factory and the factory teams to implement the solutions identified. In addition, the program includes the rollout of a tool developed by ERI called RTIS, or Resource Tracking and Information System, and this is for suppliers to track accurate environmental data. You can see a screenshot of some of the data points here. These are tracked monthly and can be tracked down to process level in the factory, so looking at greenhouse gas emissions, energy use, water. It also supports suppliers who deliver accurate information into other platforms such as the HIG FEM module. Sorry, I'm struggling here. So the results of the program, I've just picked out some core figures to present today, and we're still not finished yet. Here you can see the baseline consumption of the 30 factories involved in the program across 4 key impact areas: energy use, water use, chemical use, and greenhouse gas emissions. For energy use, the baseline across all factories was 4 billion megajoules per year, and a 16% reduction potential was identified. So far, our suppliers have achieved measurable and verified improvements of 193 million megajoules per year, which is a total reduction of 5%. And this is through implementing a number of energy-saving initiatives and equipment upgrades. So to achieve the full identified improvement potential, it was calculated that the total investment needed is $13 million, and that by implementing these improvements, the factory will have a return on investment of more than $7 million per year, which is a payback of around 21 months. This is a pretty strong business case, which is always important. So along with supporting buyers to meet targets, this program is also delivering some extremely beneficial cost savings to suppliers. So some improvements have a faster return on investment. For the bigger ticket items, it's clear that investment is needed and support is needed, and us, along with the rest of the industry and other brands in the industry, are delivering into are supporting with various financing options. So I would just quickly share my final slide, which is that we have joined forces with Bangladeshi climate tech company Solshare to establish an energy service company called Greener Garments Initiative. And the objective of this collaboration is to provide an OPEX model for rooftop solar installations, which removes the need for upfront investments from suppliers. So through this initiative, we bring together the technical know-how for the installation and operation of the solar panels, as well as the financing solutions, and we will operate up to 10 megawatts of rooftop solar projects at interested bestseller suppliers. So we've so far signed 6 MOUs, and we're looking at signing some PPA agreements this week, hopefully. So as also mentioned on the previous panel, it's also a key focus for us that sustainable development in the industry needs to be driven by the national stakeholders. We want to support the development and growth of national platforms and Bangladeshi organizations. So we're striving to remove the layers and the complexity and to get the knowledge and investments to where they are needed at the right time. So much progress has already been made by Bangladesh, but there's still so much more for us all to do. So we're really ready to be here to support this transition. So my final comment leads me back to my opening remarks and a fairly bad cricket analogy, which is, let's not underestimate the Tigers. Perhaps they need support to create a level playing field and perhaps an umpire or two. But as they have shown, they certainly don't need us to bat for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Felicity Tapsell. Ladies and gentlemen, now I have the opportunity to announce a short coffee and snacks break. Please enjoy your treats. It's my pleasure to remind you that while sipping coffee, you might like to visit the Green Growth Exhibition Zone at just outside of the Grand Ballroom of the venue. We will be back with our next presentation in 10 minutes.